Oh, this is very helpful.
Yeah, so this is a graphic that I got from I hope it's okay from MDY. What is it called?
MDY.
MDY. It's ch.b-י because the millions of viewers that see it. You know, I don't want to.
Mandy's or Zen.
Crop
that, send it to the guy that sells vegetables. Send it
So, I took your paper, Shkoya. I just didn't print it out in color. Anyways, okay. So we said last week we did an intro to Tuma tahara. This is pretty much summarizing the Tuma tahara, and it goes as follows. Tuma tahara, it goes as follows. A dead body is called a ח.ב-י Tuma. That's the grandfather of the Tuma. It's the most powerful Tuma. If it's in a room, everything inside the room becomes tamim, etc. The second, this is a dead body. A living person can become an avatumam. How so? By either touching an ח.ב-י Tuma, by just touching the dead body, you'll become a father of Tuma, or by him being a zav or a zava or a nida, by him having an emission, zav or nida, then he will become an avatuma as well. Same thing is also a sheretz. A not all animals. There's 8 shatzim, 8 little, what are they called? What shatzim?
Creepy crawlies.
Vermin.
Yeah,
But they're not
vermin,
creepy crawlies.
whatever. So mice, and it says which 8 of them. And these 8 shatzim, and the person that becomes tama either by touching a body or by himself is a zav or a zava or a nida, then he or the animal, he or she or the animal, they can in turn make another person tamei or make kalim tamei. Okay, and that would be called addition tuma. It would be called the first level of tuma. Now addition tuma, it gets less already. Addition tuma can technically not make a person tamei. Can technically not make a person tamei. 1 second, this I don't know. This is papers. I just written down a little more details. Additional tuma, additional tuma, a person that becomes the first level of tuma, which is it's a grandchild, he cannot in turn make another person tamei. The only thing he can make tamei is oichel and mashkan. He can make food or drink tamei. The totally everything in the picture we'll leave out for now. But in any case, that's basically the progression. Dead body is the highest level of tuma. Someone touches the dead body, or someone is a zav, someone is a nida, or a sheretz, a mice, etc. They can make another person tumah, which will become an additional tumah. That person can make other things tumah, but they cannot make another person tumah. So here's where it stops for human beings. So there's basically until additional tumah, a human being can become tumah. From then on, it could be food. Now food, if it's chulin, if it's a regular food, no holiness in the food, no kedusha, then it stops here. Chulin can become a shein tumah, which means a person that's tired doesn't want to eat something that's tamei. But that's it. That chulin apple cannot make something else tamei. What if the apple is tuma? Or what if it touches an animal that is kodesh? So this apple now can in turn make another tuma apple or another tuma object tamei. That will be called a shlish tuma. And then it goes further. A 4th level of tuma can only be a korban, a sacrifice. The ch.ב-י added that there should be an extra stringency, and the top level, basically the furthest the tuma will go, is the pada aduma, the mechatas, the water that you spritz on the person to become tahara. That pada aduma can become tamei if a piece of meat, like in the picture, a piece of meat touches it, and the piece of meat is only a davila tuma. Basically, human beings stop at sheni, the level of sheni. A human being can be, if he's a dead body, he can be tamei. If he's a zav, he can be tamei. Or if he touches a person that touched the dead body, or if he touches a person that was a zav or a nida. But that stops. Food goes down all the way down, but it depends. If it's chulin food, it stops by level 2. If it's tuma, level 3. If it's a korban, a sacrifice, it's level 4. If it's paladuma, chatos, it's a level 5. That's the short version. And now we're going to basically, go into the Mishnah. The Mishnah is basically focusing on something the Chacham said. The Chacham added an interesting thing. The Chacham said that yes, a person will not become tamei past Rishon LeTuma, past first level. But if a person touches something that's additional Tuma, if a person, let's say, touches a person that's additional Tuma, The Chacham said, let's make his hands, Yodayim, his hands, a Shein l'Tumah. So his hands become into the category of Shein. Another thing we mentioned last week is about the Sefer Torah. If a person touches Sefer Torah, this is actually an interesting Mishnah in Shabbos. There's the Mishnah in Shabbos that says that there was one time when the Beis Shammai were more than Basilil, and the Nimnu v'Gamnu, they counted, and it basically came to include a few halachas. Beis Shammai, they were powerful. They had the Congress, the Senate, they had everything, and they had all the powers. And they did 18. They put down 18 halachas, which we're passing today, like Beis Shammai. One of them was that if a person touches Sefer Torah, his hand should become tummy. One of these 18 things. And amongst the other things, many things about Tuma and tahara, they were stricter about other things. One of the things is the Sefer Torah thing. In any case, so Chacham said that a person's hand can become tummy. It's called Yadayim. In the Mishnah, it's called Yadayim. If a person touches a Rishain, the Tuma, his hands will become tummy. Which Tuma? A Shein Tuma. Now, we have to remember, a Shein Tuma stops there a certain way. Basically, it means that a person that's now his hands are Shein Tuma, if he touches Chulin, nothing will happen. Because a Chulin cannot go past Shein Tuma. Chulin stops over here. If a person is in the same level, he cannot make Chulin a Shlishi. Because Chulin stops here. What can a person that has Tamei hands, a Shenik, what can he make Tamei? He can make Tuma. He can have an issue with Tuma. He can have an issue with Maisan, with a Kolban, with Chatos, etc. But he cannot make Chulin Tamei. But here the Mishnah says that if Yadayim touched a person that's additional to Tumah, and now you're called Yadayim Shniyah, saying your hands are called a Tumah of Shenim. Now he wants to handle Cholin, or he wants to handle Tumah, wants to handle Maisan. What's your solution? The solution is you can wash your hands.
What is Tibon Yom?
So we're not going to go into that. This is not going to.
When you take a graphic from somewhere else, you have to make
Also, I didn't really invest. What exactly is this arrow going up to Lisha and the mashkin looks like a virus. I'm not sure there's bacteria. So we'll stop. So Yadayim. We said okay. So Yadayim is shniyos. Yadayim is a level of the second level, and because it's on the second level, he cannot. Whatever doesn't go past the second level will not become tamei. Chulin will not become tamei if a person touches chulin. In our Mishnah, it says the solution. What can you do if your hands become tummy? So there's three solutions. Either wash your hands, netilas yadayim, like we know, or tvilas yadayim, dunking in the mikvah, and if it's higher than that, then you actually have to go to the mikvah. So the Mishnah says like this: Noitlin yadayim lechulin. If someone wants to handle chulin, we're talking about someone. The pastor is talking about someone that is used to eat chulin b'tahara. So even though he will not make the chulin tameh, but he always is careful with chulin. Like the Gemarrah says later on the Pelushim, the Mishnah says later on the Pelushim, even chulin are very careful with not to handle it when they're tameh. So such a person who wants to handle tumah, he wants to chulin, he wants to handle it or eat it, he should wash his hands. The chulin ulemaisa l'tumah. For all these three things, you have to wash your hands, and that's good enough to take you out of the level of sheni, and now you can eat tumah, and now you can handle tumah. What if you want to handle or touch or eat kodesh, karbanis? So now you have to you have to dip your hands in the mikvah. Well, the kodesh matbil, you have to dip your hands in the mikvah. Well, the chatos, and now for chatos, which we said is the padaduma, the water of the padaduma, here's like this: Im nitmu yadav, nitmu gufoy. If you say your hands became tameh, then it means your body became tameh. The Chachamim made a huge chiddush. In the Torah, the concept of just hands becoming tameh doesn't exist. If your hand touched a dead body, your entire body becomes tameh. It's not only your hands become tameh. They said that only your hands that touched a rishon tumah, first generation tumah, only your hands will become tameh. So the Mishnah tells you this is all good and nice until it comes to a paladuma. Once you handle a paladuma, if your hands touched something tameh, consider your entire body tameh. Even though the whole tumah is only the rabbanon, you have to go to mikvah. Entire body has to go to mikvah. Okay, that's the three levels. They're called milas in the Mishnah. So there's three levels. Chulin, ma'isa, tumah is one level. Kodesh is kabbalah. It's the second level. You have to dip them in the mikvah, and chatas you have to go in the mikvah yourself. Now, this is one halacha. The second halacha is about kavana, intent. You have to have, when you go to mikvah or when you wash your hands or when you dip your hands into the water, you have to have a kavanah, you have to have in mind that you're doing it in order to eat chulin, tuma, maisa, whatever level of kedusha you're talking about. So says the Mishnah, Tava l'chulin, huchzak l'chulin. If he went and he did tefillah in order to eat chulin, and huchzak l'chulin, he had intent, he had a kavanah, he had in mind to be able to handle or eat chulin. Also, l'maisa, he is not allowed to not handle or eat maisa. This is a chiddush of the chachamim, because technically in the Torah there's no such thing that you have to have kavanah by going to mikveh. As soon as you go to mikveh, you're fine, you're covered. Chacham said no. You have to have in mind what exactly it is that you're going to the mikveh for. So therefore, if you have in mind a lower level, you cannot go upper level. What about the opposite way? We'll see in a second. If he went to do tefillah for Maisa and he had kavanah for Maisa, also Tuma is not to handle Tuma. If he went to eat Tuma and he had in mind to eat Tuma, then he's not to handle kavanahs. If he went to the mikveh in order to handle kavanahs, he's not allowed to handle mechatos or paladuma. Now the Mishnah adds tava l'chamal. If you were toivel for the more stricter thing, muta l'kal. You didn't have it. If you, let's say you go into the mikveh and you had in mind maisa, you had in mind tuluma, you're allowed to handle or eat maisa, because as long as you had something in mind, the lesser is going to be included. Tava l'kal. Sorry, tava l'chamal muta l'kal. Tava v'lo yuchzak ila tava. If you went to mikveh stam for no reason, he just went to mikveh. V'lo yuchzak. He had no intention. He had nothing in mind. It is as if he never walked into the mikveh. So that's the two halachas we have in the Mishnah so far. Number one, the whole concept of Yadayim, which Chacham are the ones that were mechadish this thing. They taught us this novel idea that hands can become tameh at different levels. And also, once you go to mikveh, you have to have intent. You have to have kavanah. Third halacha is like this, an interesting halacha. Big de'amatz midras. So, when a person is a zav, or a woman is a nida, a person is a zav, a woman is a nida, they are avatuma. They are the first level of tuma. What does the Torah say? The Torah says that chol mishkav, ashishkav, every bed that he lays on it, every chair, whatever the baguette, whatever he touches, whatever is meant to be worn in a certain way or touched, stepped upon, or like they categorize it, whatever you put your weight on, whatever that tamei person puts his weight on, it becomes an avatuma as well. That baguette becomes an avatuma. So even though the person that's being it metam, the person that's making it impure, is an avatuma, the baguette, the bed, the chair will become an avatuma as well. So that's called midras. That's what the Mishnah is saying. Midras is whatever he steps on, puts his weight on. So he says like this: a midras is an avatuma. If you look at the chart, that could make a person tameh. A midras is an avatuma. He can make a person tameh. So therefore, if you touch a baguette, a garment that you don't know what the garment is, and there's a suspicion that the garment would be tameh of tameh midras, the level of midras, which is avatuma, then you become tameh. Therefore, the Chacham made a takana, and they said that someone that is not very knowledgeable in the hilchos Tuma tahara and doesn't know exactly when to watch himself, and even the ones that know to watch himself, it's not proper watching himself, as the Mishnah and the Gemarrah will say, consider their garments tameh midras, and it goes up levels. Some people are only careful about chulin, some people are careful about maisa, etc. But their garment is considered midras, and therefore, if you touch the garment, you will become additional tumah, and you cannot do whatever you want to do with the halal. Says the Mishnah, big day ama'aretz midras lepushim. A baguette, a garment, a bed of an ama'aretz is considered a midras, an avatuma for pollution. Someone that's very careful to eat everything, even chulin, but tahara in purity. Big day pollution, the garments or the clothing, the bed of the pollution, they are only careful about chulin. They're not careful to the level to eat tluma b'tahara. So therefore, they're not watching themselves as careful. So therefore, midras, their godim is considered a midras, and avatuma la'oichle for kahanim that eat tluma. So it's a level again. Ama'aretz, his baguette is always considered a midras. A pollution, his baguette will be considered a midras for someone that eats tuma. Big de oichle tuma, the garments of someone that eats Tuma, like a kohen, or people that hold themselves at the level that even the chulin they eat and the kedusha of Tuma is midosh lekodesh, they are not allowed to touch, their garments shouldn't be touched by someone that wants to handle karbonis. Bigdei kodesh, midosh lechatas. Again, what did the Chum come to tell us? That we consider begodim a Tuma, we consider the begodim a Tuma, it tummy enough to make a person tummy. Therefore, at the different levels, people have to be careful what beggar they touch. Says the Gemarrah, Yoi says the Mishnah. Here, the Mishnah is trying to bring out a point that it's not just when we say Hama'aretz, it doesn't mean someone that's an what's it called, an analphabet. He doesn't know how to learn. We're talking about big people, but some people were more careful, some people were less careful. Yosef ben Ezel, Yosef Ezel was a Nasi, and he was went way above the letter of law regarding keeping himself pure, and he held himself that he ate everything in the level of Truma. Even though it was such a tzaddik and such a Talmud Chacham, his beged, his garment, his towel was considered tamei for the people that handle kabbanis. Yochanan ben Gudgada, some people say it's unkelus. He would eat. He would make sure that he eat anything that he eats is at the level of kedusha, of level of purity of a kalban, but still kol yamav, even though he was at such a high level that everything that he ate he was very careful about, still his garments, his bed was considered an avatuma for those people that are even more pure. So. Good, you guys know who Gutman Locks was, right? I posted it. Yeah, you know who Gutman Locks. Huh? No, Gutman Locks. Okay, so Gutman Locks is a.
Oh, that you don't know. That I don't know is Nishkin Pella.
Yeah, Gutman Locks is a very interesting individual. He wrote a book called "Coming Back to Earth" or something. I read his book. Humorous book. He was a guru. He was called the guru of Park Slope. Not Park Slope. Park East. Central Park Guru. He writes his book is really, really interesting. You learn a lot, both in Emunah, religion, and understanding. Two things I remember sticking out of the book was, number one, he said that when he was in India by one of the gurus over there, and he was meditating for years, not eating, drinking, speaking. He was supposed to reach a certain level of meditation, spiritual level, and you feel it. And what happens at that level? Everything is blue. That's what if you remember correctly, he describes everything becomes blue. And when you reach that level, that's when the highest is ready to greet you. What a ganze Maisa. He says later on when he became Thum, and he started learning Chumash. It says by before Avram Avinu died, it says that he gave Yitzchak everything. And it says by the Pelakshim, it says that he gave them migdonos, he gave them presents. Rashi says, what are those migdonos? Shem Tuma Masalahem. He gave them over the name of the Tuma, which we know is black magic, is basically the stuff. Then he learned in Kabbalah and he saw that the color of Tuma is blue.
Right.
So he said that he put it together that when he reached that level, he actually reached the highest level of Tuma. Another cute. This is going off topic. Another cute thing I remember that when he became film, he ended up in Los Angeles. He worked for the shluchim in Los Angeles, and at some point they're working out of a trailer. It was very hot for yeshiva or something. Working on a trailer, it was very hot, and they didn't have air conditioning in there. And he walked over to one of the chief rabbis there, one of the chief shluchim there, and he asked him, "Do you know why the Torah says that you cannot put an ox and a cow, not an ox, a donkey and an ox in the same plow?" It says what does the pasuk say? It says you can. You cannot put a ox and a donkey in the same. Why? The Torah doesn't say why, but the Torah is simple. The answer is pretty simple. It's Tzav l'chaim, because one of them is much stronger than the other, and it's not equal pulling, and therefore while one can work, the other can't work. So he comes and tells his rabbi, says, Mela, maybe you can work in the heat, sweating, not a problem. But all your workers, every day your workers come to the office and there's no proper air conditioning, cooling off the place in hot Los Angeles. You're over in the what's it called? ח.ב-י, you're over that thing. So they went out in the water. A lot of cute stories. But this is not really what I want to say. He has a nephew. His nephew's name was A.J. Jacobs. I had to look it up. I thought it was David. A.J. Jacobs.
I might have heard of.
You heard him.
Yeah.
He's a bestseller on New York Times.
He wrote like A Year of Living Biblically, right?
Exactly. I read the book. It's very funny.
Yeah, it's a good one.
It's a very funny book. He decided that one year that he's living according to the Torah. He opened up the Chumash from Maseches and he started going through anything that came up. He did. I don't know all the details because a lot of crazy things. And one of the things I remember, it says that you have to bind money in your hand and you have to go to Shalim. So he comes up to the airport and he has money in his bound around and he's trying to board the plane. I thought and he was weird. He was already wearing weird garments and he had a full bushy beard that looked like an Arab or something. Anyways, so a lot of things. So he had gotten married at some time before he wrote the book, before he went on this journey, and they didn't have any kids.
Did you stay with him?
So he basically comes to the parasha of Nida. He tells her, listen, the Torah says that if you're in the period of the month, then wherever you sit, I can't sit. Wherever you sleep, I can't sleep. So when I come home from work, please just let me know where you're sat so I make sure. So one day she had enough of him. He comes home and he's dead tired. He says, not here. He wants not there. Chasing him around the apartment. This was her revenge of her husband. But he says that they couldn't have kids for many years. And at the end of the year, living like a yid, the one mitzvah he was for sure Mekayim was P'tul. Why? Because he couldn't have kids and then they had twins. Throughout the year they had twins. So there's one thing that definitely stuck was the P'tul. It's a very, very funny book. Anyways, that's what I say. The Mishnah says midos. Midos is a serious thing. We don't go by that today. But he decided to, that was her revenge against her husband's Mashigasim. Okay. Says, so this is the Mishnah. 3 things we taught in the Mishnah. The concept of Yadayim. The concept that you have to have kavanah, you have to have an intent when you go to mikvah, what you go in mikvah for. And the last one was about the begadim, that your beget, your bedding, your chair will become an avatuma that becomes an avatuma, but the beged of an amatz is considered a avatuma for someone that's higher. And the beged of a padosh is an avatuma for someone that's dealing with kabbanis and etc. and so on. Okay. Says the Gemarrah. The Gemarrah is going to say like this. Our Mishnah says we have to wash our hands for chulin, and we have to wash our hands for ma'asav. It's going to bring a Mishnah that says no, it's going to say very clearly that you don't have to wash your hands. So it's a contradiction between the Mishnah and the Mishnah the Gemarrah brings. So the Gemarrah, chulin and ma'asav mi boy netila. Chulin and ma'asav, do they need netilas? Do they need washing hands? I'm going to ask you a contradiction from a different Mishnah. It says in the Mishnah, Tuma v'abikulim chayav and misa. If someone misappropriates and he uses Tuma or bikulim, the first ripe fruit, if he bemazes it on purpose, he uses them in the wrong way, chayav and aleim. What is he chayav misa? And if he doesn't do it on purpose, he was a shoygig, he made a mistake and used Tuma and bikulim, then he's chayav the original amount. Let's say he used a fruit that's worth $100. He has to pay $120 because they add a punishment, the chomesh, they added the fifth, the chomesh. Okay, so that's Tuma b'kum. So if you do b'mezit, you're chayav misa. If you do b'shoigig, you have to pay not only the main thing, but you also have to pay the punishment of a fifth. V'asla zalim, and obviously it's not allowed. Zalim, people that are not kahanim cannot use it. V'heinich sekoyen, Tuma and b'kum become the property of the kohen, which means he can be mekadosh a woman with it. He can go to chuppah and say that you're mekudosh with this apple because this is mine, or you can buy stuff with it. If an apple of Tuma gets mixed up with a box of apples, you have to have another 101 apples in there in order to make the box good. If there's only 100 apples in there, the whole box becomes Tuma. You have to have 101 times. You have different things, different categories in Halakha. We know bottle b'doiv, bottle b'shishim, bottle b'meh, bottle b'elef. Tuma becomes nullified if there's 101 times its original thing. So you have to have 102 apples in that box. And if you want to handle Tuma and bekurim or eat it, you have to wash your hands. Vehalev shemesh, if you have to go to mikvah, you have to wait till the night. These are the things that only apply for Tuma B'kum. Mashe'ein kain, none of this applies. But Maisa v'chol shkem Maisa and Chol don't have all these halachas, including what? Netilas Yadayim. So we have a very clear contradiction. Our Mishnah, it says, Noitel in Yadayim, the Chol and the Maisa, you have to wash your hands with Chol and the Maisa. And in this Mishnah, it says only Tuma. And B'kum you have to wash your hands. And it says clearly the words, Mashe'ein kain Maisa v'chol shkem you don't have to wash your hands. Kasha Maisa, Kasha Chol and Chol. We have a question on Maisa. Our Mishnah says you have to. This Mishnah says no. And Kasha Chol and Chol. Says the Gemarrah, breaks it down. There's no question. Our Mishnah that says Maisa, you have to wash your hands, and the second Mishnah that you don't have to wash your hands. Why? We can say very simple. The Mishnah that says that you have to wash your hands is Rabbanon. The Mishnah that says you don't have to wash your hands is Lamel. Where is this Mishnah? We're going to make a third Mishnah. The Tanan. Anyone that needs to wash his hands because the Chacham said that his hands are tamei, and if he didn't wash his hand, what happens to whatever he touches? Metame es a kodesh. He makes a sacrifice, a korban. He can make it tamei. And I said last week that the difference between metame and poisel is that each one of these are called metame. This one becomes tamei, and is metame. It can further make the next level impure. Chulin at this level. If someone touches a chulin apple and he's additional tuma, now the apple is a shein in the tuma. This is not called tame. It doesn't call metame. It's not called metame. It's called posel. Posel means that this is where it ends. So basically, metame means it could further make someone tame. A posel means it makes that actual thing posel, but it cannot go further and make the next level impure. So it says again. Any person that needs to either wash your hands or toivel your hands because the Chum said your hands are tamei, then if you don't wash your hands or don't toivel your hands, you metame as a kodesh, you make a sacrifice, a korban, you make it tamei. A poisel is tuma, and you make the tuma also tamei because you didn't wash your hands. However, someone that his hands are tamei because of the rabbanon, he's allowed to handle or eat chol in a maisel. So here we see clearly that the Meir says that for chol and maisa you don't have to wash your hands. So the Mishnah that it's brought down at the beginning of the Gemarrah goes according to the Meir. Say the Chacham Chacham say no. When it comes to maisa, you do have to wash your hands. So in short, when our Mishnah says maisa, you have to wash your hands, that's Chacham. When our Mishnah says chulin, you have to wash your hands, we don't know yet who that is going according to. The other Mishnah that says chulin and maisa, you don't have to wash your hands. That's the Meir says you don't have to wash your hands of chulin and maisa. Okay, so now we still have a question of chulin. So maisa we answer. Zog the Gemarrah, and the chulin kasha we have a stira. This Mishnah says chulin, you don't have to wash your hands, and our Mishnah says chulin, you do have to wash your hands. So what's the story here? What's this contradiction? Lo kasha. Our Mishnah speaks about when if you want to come eat. If you want the chulin apple to become part of you, and you are tamei in the level of sheni, we say if you want the apple to become part of you, you have to wash your hands. If you just want to touch it, no problem. You can touch as much as you want. That's what our Mishnah says. So our Mishnah says noitel ne'edayim if you want to consume the apple, because the apple becomes part of you. The second Mishnah that says you don't have to wash your hands, it's only if you want to touch the apple. That's the first answer the Gemarrah gives. The Gemarrah is not going to like the answer, because that's not a chiddush. We said if a person that his hands are a sheni touches a chulin apple, nothing happens. So if the Chachamim and the Meir had a machloikas, what happens with the Maisa? The Meir says you have to wash your hands because something's going to happen. The Chachamim say no, you do. You don't. The Meir says you don't have to wash your hands. The Chachamim say you do have to wash your hands. We are obviously talking about when something could happen to the chulin. Touching the chulin is not a problem because the person's hands are only a sheni. A sheni cannot make chulin tamei. So therefore, when the Meir and the Chacham have a machloikas about whether you have to wash your hands or not wash your hands, we're talking about eating. If we're talking about eating, and our Mishnah is talking about eating, so we see there's two different Mishnahs over here. One Mishnah says eating. The Meir says you don't have to wash your hands. Chacham say you have to wash your hands if you eat maisa. And our Mishnah says, if you eat chulin or eat ma'aser, you have to wash your hands. So the chulin, we don't know who goes according to. When is the machloikas of the Rabban and Rab Meir is about eating ma'aser? Rab Meir says that even eating chulin or eating ma'aser is not a problem, don't wash your hands. The Chum say, if you want to eat ma'aser, you want the ma'aser to become part of it, you have to wash your hands. Aval b'negia the ma'aser, touching ma'aser, and even achila the chulin loy pligi. There's no problem. There's no machlokes. The Chum agree that even for eating chulin, you don't have to wash your hands. So again, we have a problem. Our Mishnah says that in order to handle or touch chulin and ma'aser, you have to wash your hands. And the second Mishnah says you don't have to wash your hands. And basically, the second Mishnah is definitely talking about eating, and our Mishnah said also is talking about eating. Both Mishnahs talk about eating, and now we have a problem. Chum say that eating ma'aser you have to wash your hands, eating chulin you don't have to wash your hands. It's not a shvedika. There's nothing difficult here. Kan b'achila the nahama, kan b'achila the pele. One is talking about eating bread, and one is about eating fruits. So what's the answer? The answer is our Mishnah is Lameil, and the second Mishnah is Lameil. Again, our Mishnah says we have to wash our hands for chulin and ma'aser. Second Mishnah says we don't have to wash our hands for chulin and ma'aser. How do we explain the contradiction? Both are Lameil. How do we explain the contradiction? One is about washing your hands for bread. Washing hands for bread many years later, we found out, we know today, and I mentioned it in the last Shiur, that the Chacham made a takana, that our hands are considered shniyas, our hands are always considered tamei when it comes to eating bread. Why? Because the Kehanim used to make sure to eat Tuma b'tahara b'samigdosh, and we want to continue that tradition until Mashiach comes. So when Mashiach comes, we'll right away go into that mode of eating b'tahara. Therefore, when it comes to bread is the most important part of the meal. Bread was also the biggest percentage of Tuma was made out of bread, of wheat. So therefore, when it comes to bread, we have a takana that we have to wash our hands. For bread, we wash our hands. For fruits, we don't wash our hands. So basically, our Mishnah is the chulin and ma'aser is talking about bread. Bread, everyone agrees you have to wash your hands. The second Mishnah that says that you don't have to wash your hands is talking about fruits. Here the Chacham say that even for fruits, I want you to wash your hands for ma'aser. But our Mishnah says bread, chulin, or bread, ma'aser, wash your hands. The second Mishnah that mentions Amir says if it's talking about fruit, for fruits you don't have to wash your hands. How do we know that? The Amar of Nachman, whoever washes his hands for fruits, he's considered a balgai, he's considered someone that holds himself very holy. What does it mean? We know that on Pesach we have this thing that we wash our hands before dipping the mud and the kalpas. Thank you, the kalpas. A couple months to brush up my God, I think. So kalpas, we have to wash our hands because we dip kalpas in salt water. Whenever we dip a fruit in water or any of the 7 mashkois, the 7 different 6 or 7 type of things, we have to wash our hands. Okay, we have to wash our hands. So some people want to say, let me be machmir, let me go above and beyond. Let me wash my hands anytime I eat fruit, just in case it touched. That is considered balgai. That's considered too much. That's you're going way. That's considered gasaluch. We don't do that.
Does that include vegetables?
So this vegetables is a whole machloikas. I don't know. Yeah. So yeah, we talk about payday. We talk about the vegetables as well. But today, you have a lot of people that actually, if you wash an apple in water, they would consider you have to wash your hands, or you would stick a fork in and not eat it with your hands. An interesting thing is dipping the apple in honey. Honey is one of the liquids that if you dip a fruit or vegetable in it, you have to wash your hands. Honey is one of them. Minik Chabad is that we eat the apple and the honey right after our motzi. So we have washed our hands already. And I don't know if that's the reason, but it would make sense that the reasoning is that because we have to really wash our hands, once you actively go and dip your hands in a liquid, you have to wash your hands.
You have to remind, when you say if you totally have to remind,
But mechomer lekal, we said you could do.
So for this, no. We're talking about this is to eat chulin or what's it called. No, but this is for a different halacha. This is not for eating tahara. This is for it's also for tahara, but no, I don't know. You know what? I have to check it out. But we in Chabad, many people have the minhag, make kiddush, and you dip the apple in honey. In Chabad specifically, we dip the apple honey after Hamaitzi.
For this reason?
I don't know if this reason, but it would make sense. It would make sense. Okay. Says the Gemarrah weiter. So we answer the question. Our Mishnah is speaking about washing our hands for bread, and that Mishnah says you don't have to wash your hands. It's talking about fruits. Tan Labanan. Hanoitel Yodov, Niskaven Yodov, Niskaven Yodov Tehoides. If someone washes his hands, and he had kavana to wash his hands to make sure that they become toil, then his hands are toil. Loy Niskaven. If he did not have a kavana, Yodov Tameh, his hands become stay tameh. V'chol matbil Yodov. If someone toivels, dips his hand in the water, again the same halacha. Niskaven. If he had kavana, Yodov Tehoides. Loy Niskaven. If he did not have kavana to toivel his hands for whatever he wants to eat, Yodov Tameh. Okay, that's what the Mishnah is saying. V'otanya is going to ask a question. We learned in Ablaisa. Bein Niskaven, bein Loy Niskaven, Yodov Tehoides.
A mikveh. Or even by
washing hands. Yeah. That's what the Ablaisa says. That both your hands become toil whether you have kavanah to wash your hands or not to wash your hands. Rav Nachman answers it's not difficult. Kan the chulin, kan the mais. Chulin. Here goes the answer maybe. Chulin, to eat something that's mundane, not holy, you don't have to have kavanah. That's what it says. When it comes to eating maisa, you have to have kavanah. Where would you know from that chulin you don't have to have kavanah to wash your hands in order to eat chulin? How do we know? So he answers Tanan. We learned in the Mishnah, Gal shenitlash uboya bo himself. Someone was walking by the ocean bed, next to the ocean, and a wave says nitlash. It separated itself from the ocean, and it was a huge wave, and the wave had aboim saw. And a person is walking down, he has kalim there, he has garments or whatever he has there. V'nafal adam val kalim, and it fell on the adam and the kalim to hiden. It is as if that person went to mikvah because 40 saw fell on the person.
It doesn't need to be separated, even if it's connected.
He's not miskaven.
He wants to bring out something with the separation. So if it got separated, if a person goes into the ocean for a reason for kavanah, then he has a kavanah. Here wants to bring out that the guy there was no kavanah. He was walking and all of a sudden something separated itself, and basically fell on the person as Mem saw. It became taught. So the Gemarrah is saying Katana Adam Dumit Kelim. We compared Adam, a person, to Kelim. Garments or pots and pans don't have any kavanah. They don't have a brain. They can't think of anything. And they become toil even though they did not have a kavanah to become toil. They were just sitting there. The same thing also a person, even if he doesn't have kavanah, he becomes toil when enough water falls in him.
A person's not a kiwi, we need to have a kavanah, no?
No, but that's what the Mishnah is trying to say. That because you're putting an Adam and Kalim in the same category, we compare them. You say Adam and Kalim become toil. Why are you putting them together? Because I want to tell you. If Kalim don't have intent, don't have kavanah, they'll become toil. Also Adam. The Gemarrah is going to flip it on its head and say, Ma Kalim delay mechaveni. Kalim cannot have a kavanah. If Adam delay mechaven, that's the one to bring proof. Now he's going to knock down the whole proof. Umimai, no. Dilma beyoyshev umitzape. Amos sayit l'shagalskin. Maybe we're talking about a person that's sitting by the ocean and he's waiting. I'm waiting for the moment that a huge wave is going to come out of the ocean, separate itself, and fall on me and my kalim, and it will become toil. And now, if that's the case, he's sitting and waiting. He has kavanah, he has intent. And what does the Mishnah say? That the adam and kalim become toil. And now we switch it around. The kalim do with the adam, but now we compare the kalim to the person. Ma adam dava kavanah, like a person that has to have kavanah in order to become toil, like this guy sat by the ocean. Af kalim the person has to have kavanah that he wants to become toil. So therefore, we don't have proof yet to say that without kavanah you still become toil. So the Gemarrah is going to ask a side question. If that's the case, if we're talking about someone that's sitting in the ocean and has kavanah, then what's the Mishnah even saying? That's a pashta zach. We know for a fact if someone has kavanah, you become toil. What is the chiddush if an ocean? What would the chiddush then be? That if an ocean separates, a wave separates them from the ocean, there's no chiddush. Why would the Mishnah say that? If you would say that, what kind of chiddush is it? That someone is sitting and waiting. We know that a person that prepares himself, that has intent, that has kavanah, he becomes toil. No. Sal kedai techamina. I would have thought, ligzay, I want to make a gzeira. Dilma osel midbechad l'shekshamim. What happens is, if someone sees a person standing by the ocean and waiting by the side of the ocean, and he's waiting to get a wave should come over him. So a person says, oh, so anytime a huge amount of water falls on a person, that's good enough to become toil. He walks over to the person and says, why are you waiting here? I'm waiting to go to mikveh, but I don't want to go inside. I'm waiting for the wave to come over me. So this person is going to think, anytime a huge amount of water falls on me, I'm good. So therefore, I'm not going to go into a faucet and turn on. But if next time I know it rains really heavy, I'm going to stand on the bottom of a mountain. I know there's always rain falls and always this. As soon as it rains a lot, I'll stand on the bottom there. I'll have the rain come gushing down 40 so it lands on me. I'm good to go. In order to avoid that, we'll should make a gzeira and say that a person next to an ocean cannot go to mikvah. The chiddush is that we don't say it. It's a side note. This is bringing out a side note that the reason, what's the chiddush of standing? Someone has kavanah. The chiddush is that we don't say that it doesn't work. We say that it's okay. We should make a gzeira. Maybe he would go and toivel in a rainfall. Or inami, another gzeira would be nigze lashon atokifin kamashmalan de legazinan. What's lashon atokifin? We would basically say that a person cannot toivel in this way because we have halacha, which we're going to see in a second, that when there's a nice wave in the ocean, it makes a curve and an arc. So someone would say, well, all I see is the water coming down on the person. I don't know what's exactly going, how wet he's getting. I don't know that he's getting the full memsa. Maybe he's just getting some of it. So a person can go and stand in the arc of the wave, and then, okay, if I toivel in the arc of the wave, a drop of water comes on me, I'm also good. So it would say that water falling on a person should not be good because we are worried that a person will toivel in the arc of the wave. Zakta, we don't make such a gzeira. Nigze loshin, the edges of the wave, oto kifin, kifin is the kippah, the arc, kamashmalan, we don't have the legas in it. So now, the Gemarrah asks one last question, we'll go maidev. How do we know that he actually cannot toivel in the arc of the wave? The Tanya, because you can toivel at the edge of the wave, but not inside the arc. If you say because you don't make tvila in the luft. So basically, we have to still find out where is this source that you have to have kavanah. You don't have to have kavanah for washing hands. Continue.